folks, that the people that you're talking to on the radio, the folks you're listening to, man, they're being heard by hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people all across North America. And that's what makes satellite radio great, because we can give you information that you need as you travel the highways. You know, once you leave the city limits of a city, the radio station, AM or FM, you're listening to, simply the signal vanishes and you're done. Man, you can't pick it up beyond there. But here, we're traveling with you all throughout the trip. Let's talk about what's going on with the prices at the pumps, energy. And we're going to be going into the long Thanksgiving holiday weekend. That is coming up next week. And Rey Trevino is on with us now. He is one of the best when it comes to the energy markets, oil exploration. And Ray, it's great to have you back on radio. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Of course. Happy Thanksgiving as we go into next week. And, man, it's nice to have you on the radio. And a lot of folks that are listening are going to be parking their trucks. They are going to be getting in the car, traveling to Grandma's house and visiting friends and a whole bunch more. What are the prices at the pumps going to be looking like in your estimation? Plenty of supply, stable prices for the most part, diesel, unleaded, whatever? How do you see it?
No, right now I think the prices that we're seeing at the pump, God forbid something horrific happen on the world stage, but I do think the prices we're seeing right now is what we're going to continue to see here, probably at least for the next 7 days. What we're also seeing is the fact that we've seen a dip in the price in oil about 2 weeks ago, and we're also feeling those effects right now.
Okay, and what do you mean by that? We're feeling the effects in the form of lower prices? How does that translate?
Yes, great question. When I say we're feeling the effects today of the lower price of a barrel the lower price of oil per barrel 2 weeks ago, is now those products are coming out of the refinery, and now we're reciprocating the actual price of 2 weeks ago when oil was maybe $66. That's how much gasoline was selling for. Was at about $2.40, $2.50 a gallon, so that's why we're actually physically seeing that about that $2.50 price today.
Okay, absolutely. Now, as we get ready to go into the holiday week coming up, traditionally this time of the year, Ray, does the production taper off on the rigs, land-based oil on the ocean, maybe in the Gulf? Does that taper off at all?
Really, when we see a taper, it's going to be on the refinery side, and we usually see that in September and October when we're switching over from the summer blends to the winter blends of gasoline and other hydrocarbon products. So usually when we get into later, into November, we're usually back online at full capacity at all of these refineries across America to make sure that we have the supply that we need during this very important holiday travel every year.
Okay, and as far as like investments in the oil and gas industry, you're going to be watching that very closely, I would imagine, right? Because the number of rigs that are operational, that's got to factor into maybe some of the data analysis that you look at, maybe new startup with wells. That's got to be probably another aspect of that. Can you gather data that you've gotten in hand now and kind of make a prediction for next year that the drilling activity may be robust or subdued? How do you see the expectations with that?
That's a great question, Mark. Obviously I drill oil wells, and more importantly, I produce oil for a living, so I'm definitely an oil investor myself. And what we're definitely looking at is added oil to the global economy next year. Okay. And right now, the best thing that we can do is continue to drill and produce as much oil as we can. And the real reason why is we need it for our security. We need to fill up the strategic petroleum reserves, and the more oil that we have here in America, the more secure that we're going to be. It's one thing to be energy secure or energy independent, but we also need to be energy safe. And producing more oil will get us there. So definitely a good time to invest in oil is at any time, because it's not going anywhere at any time.
Okay, absolutely. And this is going to be from all of the, the news stories out there. The drill, baby, drill scenario is going to be coming back into the forefront here, and pretty much on the environmental side. I'm sure there's going to be regulations and concerned about all of that, but the drill, baby, drill phenomenon that Mr. Trump had advocated during his campaigning out on the trail really should be a benefit to the economy overall. More oil production mean more jobs. Does it mean more money that could be spent into the local economy, cities, states, that thing?
I think you're correct on all fronts. That's going to be more jobs. That's going to be more money coming into the economy and also into the local economies. We're a firm believer at Pecos Country Operating that we are not only investing in America as a whole when we're producing new oil, but also we're investing in small town America. We're providing jobs to those individuals. And if we're eating at their restaurants, we're providing revenue to those places, not to mention the taxes that we pay to those local small town municipalities. It really is such a blessing to be in this industry where we're using small businesses every day.
Absolutely. It does have that ripple effect. And you mentioned this before in this day and age, Ray, that the fact that the technology is really there to help with more accuracy on the drilling side. And I think you mentioned maybe a couple weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, that there's no more dry holes when it comes to pulling oil, extracting it from the ground, right?
You know, we like to say that, and we definitely do our best. Right now, with the day and age, we use a lot more data, and we use 3D seismic. And so we really are doing our best to drill into formations that we already know. For an example, Exxon didn't buy Pioneer just because. They bought Pioneer because they knew Pioneer was in the heart of the Permian Basin, and that's the best place to drill. At this time, right now, it's more on the human error, which is few and far between, okay? With AI, with new technology, it is few and far between that if we do see a dry hole, it does normally come from some form or fashion of something that may have happened. Now, we still do have good old-fashioned wildcatters out there that go to brand-new areas where there is no data. But again, those are also few and far between. I know nowadays for me and my family, we like to drill in proven areas of production because at the end of the day, we are putting our money in the dirt to invest. But also we'd rather do that and not give it to Uncle Sam because there's so many tax benefits. They're not subsidies. They're benefits and deductions, and that's a big difference.
Yeah, a lot of people, do they think, Ray, that when it comes to oil and gas investing, the rigs and all the other stuff that goes with it, that is only for those with the deep pockets, like the monopoly guy. Can folks like me and others maybe make investments in that scenario?
Yes, absolutely. Years ago, my dad jokes and always says, "Hey, I didn't start out writing, multi-million-dollar checks or large dollar checks." And usually when it comes to oil and gas investments, we're always looking for the accredited investors. Those are individuals that make, anywhere between $250,000 to $300,000 a year and or have a net worth, I believe, over $2 million. And that's a net worth. And really, at the end of the day, when you make any investments, you want to make sure that you make an investment that you can afford to lose, okay? I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer, but, let's not put your last 5 cents into it. Even Jerry Jones got pretty lucky back in the 1989 when he put all his money in the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes,
I don't recommend those kind of things, okay? And that's usually what we ask is like, hey, don't be destitute if you make this investment.
Yeah, no, understood. Absolutely. Make sure you know what the money is going into and be comfortable with it. Yeah, you're right about Jerry. Certainly, you got to question his general manager skills at the Cowboys. But that aside, though, you cannot challenge the man on his marketing. And that's where he made a lot of his money. So very, very much very true statement. All right, let's do this, Ray. Got to do the commercial break. And oil and energy expert Rey Trevino is on with us and taking a look at the oil markets and what in the world is it going to be doing next year. This is interesting, guys, because as what goes on with oil production, extraction out of the ground, it ties directly into what you are paying at the pumps. It's kind of like that law of supply and demand. We'll be back in a minute. Stay with us, Sirius XM 146.
We now return to Mark Willis and Road Dogg Trucking News on Sirius XM's Road Dogg Trucking Radio.
Hey, drivers. Yep, welcome back. Energy expert Rey Trevino is on the line with us. And, Ray, thanks again. Where can folks find you on the web and phone number?
Yes. They can find us at pecosoperating.com and even my fun podcast, thecrudetruth.com.
All right, what is The Crude Truth? When's the last one you put together a podcast? When was that?
I just released one with the wonderful Congresswoman Victoria Sparks out of Indiana. My co-host and I talked to her, and she is a former USSR Ukraine lady that moved here in 2000 and now is a Republican, and she is putting out the warning signs that if we don't do something now, communism will take over. It was a great episode.
Oh, my goodness. All right. And again, the website, where can it be found?
Thecrudetruth.com.
All right. Beautiful, man. You know, that is really great, you know, having somebody from inside of the Beltway to be able to check in and, you know, do an interview. We learn so much, you know, when we do get the political side of the equation on, you know, especially in the trucking industry. We learn how politicians stand when it comes to moving freight, the supply chain, and, you know, we can't overlook the fact that this is such a critical industry in keeping America moving out there. And the same with the energy sector. Is it safe to say, Ray, that many folks, well, they just kind of take it for granted that, well, if you go to the latest Exxon Mobil or if you go to Shell, they're going to have fuel, right? We take this stuff for granted, don't we, on the energy side?
Absolutely, we truly do. And, you know, I think you've heard me say before, I am not against wind and I am not against solar. And, you know, but for us to be able to turn a light switch on, the majority of that comes from natural gas or coal or even oil. And heating in the Northeast comes from heating oil. And so, again, I'm not against those, but the modern day conveniences come from oil and gas. And I just saw a little blurb the other day that it said, you know, even after these horrific hurricanes, people had the natural gas to heat their homes, had you know, gasoline in their cars. They had all these things, and yet they had no access to electricity. And that says a lot. That truly says a lot.
Well, and you know, from this vantage point, I mean, should we be relying more on the natural gas side? I mean, isn't that really cheap right now, the natural gas commodity side?
Oh, my gosh, absolutely. We have enough natural gas in America alone to power America for the next 100 years. And it is actually so clean burning that it would do wonders to not only, you know, the atmosphere, but to protecting our rainforest and all our ecosystems across the globe.
Yeah, and I'm surprised, though, that more entities are not looking at natural gas. Maybe on the fleet side, I guess, in maybe cities, like buses, transit, you know, maybe regional, local trucks. Why aren't folks looking at natural gas even more? And could it overtake diesel at some point if put in use?
Absolutely. You know, they get onto us for flaring natural gas, right? And we just don't have the infrastructure. And good, bad, or indifferent, it is so bountiful right now that it is so inexpensive. But also, you know, the current administration did the ban on permitting new construction for LNG plants to even sell it across the globe. We are technically the Saudi Arabia of natural gas in this world. And yes, absolutely, that we could have more transportation. Infrastructure. We got to have more infrastructure.
Yeah, and are you expecting that once Donald Trump takes the White House January the 20th, that, man, it's going to be like immediate drill, baby, drill kind of a scenario, or is that going to take time maybe to ramp that up? I mean, we're changing. I mean, it's changing of the course from one administration to the other. One very much environmentally friendly, pro clean air and all that stuff, and then you change that dynamic to a different philosophy under a new administration. They're going to take long to make those changes. How to go back to more drill, baby, drill.
Yeah, Mark. That's a loaded question, sir. And I say that like this: that oil and gas is environmentally friendly. And what I mean by that is we have the strictest rules and regulations in America to produce a barrel of oil.
Yeah.
We have to fight with EPA, and the EPA has done wonderful things. Because of the oil and gas industry, whales are no longer on the Endangered Species Act. We would have ruined whales had it been not for because we were burning whale oil to heat and warm America. We now have natural gas and kerosene. The other side of that is also that if we were continuing to warm ourselves with wood, we would no longer have the rainforests that are across, this beautiful globe. So this administration is definitely not eco-friendly. Oil and gas, in my opinion, I'm a Boy Scout by trade, Eagle Scout. I believe wholeheartedly in keeping things green and leaving a place better than you left it. What this administration is going to do, this new one, is provide more jobs. They're not going to disconnect with the solar and wind. They're gonna still do things there. We're just going to get America back and help this economy grow and not be really anti-jobs. That's what it's about.
All right, I got to leave it at that.
American jobs. Yeah.
Ray, I got to leave it at that, man, and I really appreciate you jumping in. And we'll do it again. Rey Trevino on, energy expert, oil and gas, and The Crude Truth is the podcast. You got to look it up, check it out. Ray, thanks. I got a break here.